It's time to get your geek on with Dave Gramillion.
Oh, yes. Alrighty. Welcome here, everyone. I am Dave Gramillion. This is Get Your Geek On, where we will talk Star Wars, Star Trek, DC, Marvel, video gaming, really all things geek that have dominated this little world of ours. You see, geek is not what it was 20 or 30 years ago. Geek is in. Geek is very in. Geek is now the mainstream, and we are here to talk the latest and greatest that is geek right here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer Talk Radio and 9:30 a.m. TheAnswer.com. This is Season 2, Episode 33. We're almost, not Order 66, just 33, half of 66. So we're getting there. That's pretty cool. Tonight, we've got some big-time esports news. Big time. Overwatch League. Facebook is getting in on Dota 2, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Pro League, ESL 1. We have PlayerUnknown Battleground tournaments are starting up. We have Call of Duty, the CWL Pro League is getting ready to start up, and big, huge prize money is up for grabs. Some DC news, and wouldn't you know it, DC TV doing very well. They're just eating it up. DCEU movies are garbage and continue to give us just the worst possible news. Just when you think that maybe now they're finally going to start, getting on a good footing here, well, then we get some more news that is just not good.
Who peed in your Cheerios this morning?
Well, where do you want to start?
I swear Goose's look towards you was ice cold. I saw the daggers coming out of his eyes at that point.
He knows I love him, just not the DCEU. We have Oscar news also coming out. So the Oscars finally revealed their nominations. And we're going to talk about who got nominations. And we're going to talk about who got snubbed by the snobs. We got that coming up as well. Plus, speaking of awards, Peter Jackson and the Lord of the Rings trilogy ended 15 years ago this year. The trilogy was over 15 years ago. It is the most awarded film series ever. You want to talk awards? We're going to be talking about Lord of the Rings, what worked, what didn't, and what is Peter Jackson up to nowadays? We got word on his latest project as well. So, in order to run the premier talk radio show for geeks across the United States, rapidly across the world, I've got to make sure that I have everything that I need, and that starts with something to drink. Because if you're going to talk for nearly an hour, then, you got to be able to wet the whistle every now and then. I also like to keep a back scratcher handy, and I know a lot of people laugh, and they're like, why? What's the point? But you know what? When I'm doing interviews and whatnot, it's really nice not to just squirm in my seat when there's that one spot on your back that you just can't reach, and everybody has that one spot. And let's face it, if you're going to have a geeky talk show, geeky podcast, geeky YouTube channel, geeky anything, then by God, you better have yourself a lightsaber. I have True Blue here in the studio with me to help keep the Monox at bay, a gift from our friends over at Saber Forge. And I also like to have something else handy here. Got this 2016, and that is my sonic screwdriver, making sure that there are no technical issues as well. Alrighty, I'm also decked out in geeky apparel. I picked up a new t-shirt for myself at PAX South. It is the Ocarina of Time shirt. Got it from Nations Apparel. It's very cool. I like that one. I'm also wearing my Star Wars Rebel hat, so I am decked out and good to go. On my left, your right, as you look across the radio dial, you will see my partner in crime here. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the grand poobah of the Star Wars Society of San Antonio. He's our minion, Peter Gonzalez.
I got new theme music. That's okay. I don't mind.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Rotate it. Keep it fresh.
There we go. Hey.
How you doing, minion?
I'm doing peachy.
Are you suffering any withdrawal from wearing your Star Wars Leia outfit?
No, not yet, but
you're not getting the shakes.
No, that was earlier.
Oh, okay. All right, we're good.
Nothing a breakfast taco from Taco Don I couldn't handle.
Absolutely. If you look further to my left, your right, across the radio dial, you will see the man spinning the ones and zeros. He is our sound prognosticator, and he is Goose.
Hello.
Hey, Goose, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. How are you decked out today?
Well, I decided to just go basic because, this week was the release of Doomsday Clock number 3.
All right.
So I decided, because it's going to center around one major hero of the DCEU, I decided to just wear my basic shirt of
Superman.
Outstanding.
There we go.
All right, so we are rip-fired and ready to go here. So let's kick the show off in style, and let's talk about some video game news here, shall we? And you can't talk video games without talking about Laser Legend here in San Antonio. Laser Legend is on the north side of San Antonio, off of Lookout Road in 1604. Not quite to I-35, not quite to Rolling Oaks Mall, but it is the gaming center you are definitely looking for. 4,000 square foot video arcade, 2-floor laser tag arena, indoor miniature golf, food specials, drink specials, a tremendous array of prizes available, including... They actually have behind the glass an actual cosmonaut training helmet.
Yeah, they do. That's some neat stuff.
That is awesome. I mean, where else could you find that?
My Star Wars group, we did an outing out there not too long ago.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It was fun.
That was
we
good?
didn't get to do any video games. We're just kind of chilling out and stuff like that. But it was a fun event. I think everybody liked it.
And, of course, Laser Legend is, if you saw pictures of me from PAX South, that's where I got the My Little Pony sunglasses.
Yeah, they were very nice to us on that day.
They
were. That was some good stuff out there at Laser Legend up there on the north side of San Antonio. Don't forget, you can get unlimited laser tag during the week for $30 for the month. It's like 6 games, and all of a sudden you're covered for the rest of the month. That's over there at Laser Legend. All right, so esports news. We haven't talked esports in a little while. The off season for a lot of tournaments is typically over the holidays, which makes a lot of sense. But now they're starting off in a big time way, and it doesn't get much bigger than the Overwatch League. This is a new way of looking at esports. Blizzard has partnered with a number of owners, sponsors, and cities to develop city-based teams. This is different. Usually you have teams like Team Solo Mid or Counter Logic Gaming, but now you have the San Francisco Shock, the London Spitfire, the Houston Outlaws, the Dallas Fuel. That's something that esports has never done before, and they're owned by these big, huge professional owners like Robert Kraft. If that name sounds a little bit familiar, he, owns Kraft Foods, and also the New England Patriots, the Super Bowl bound New England Patriots. Now he also owns the Boston Uprising. So you see where this is kind of going. Recently they announced they have a sponsorship deal with Toyota, and the Overwatch League also has a sponsorship deal set up with the Dallas Fuel and Jack in the Box. So this is a different direction that they're going in, and a lot of people were wondering when the regular season kicked off, how would it turn out? Well, the first week of the regular season was just last week, and it brought in 10 million fans that weekend.
How much? How many?
10 million in the first week. For all the matches that went on, 10 million. Or if you want to break it down to when they were watching and over a certain period of time and days, that'll be 42,000 people a minute.
What?
42,000 people a minute were getting into this Overwatch League, which is just incredible. The most popular game...
That's craziness.
It's those are huge numbers, especially for a new league. I mean, this isn't like League of Legends that has been established and been around forever. This is brand new. Now, the most popular game was Dallas versus Seoul, in which Seoul spanked Dallas.
Where's that? Was that at BlizzCon or was that?
That's all held at the Blizzard Arena in Los Angeles for the first year. Now, there are rumors that after the first year, teams may get arenas in their own cities. So when Houston plays Dallas, it'll actually be in Houston or Dallas instead of the arena in Los Angeles. But that's the rumor. We'll see how it goes. It's a long season. They got a long way to go. Speaking of which, though, the London Spitfire are rumored to be in talks to use the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That is a soccer stadium that holds 60,000 people. And they will sell that out for esports. They've sold out Madison Square Garden, Key Arena. They routinely sell out these large sports facilities, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if they did end up using that stadium and filling it as well. After the first week of play, Seoul, New York, and London were all 4-0. Dallas and Shanghai are 0-4.
Ooh.
Yikes. Houston is right in the middle at 2-2. The strong 2-2, though. They played some really tight matches.
Well, quick question here.
Yeah.
Okay, if somebody wants to watch this and is just slightly curious about watching some of these games, where do they go to watch this?
All they have to do is just Google Twitch Overwatch.
Twitch Overwatch?
That's all they got to do. It'll take them right to the homepage, and boom.
That's it.
It's right there. Tablet, phone, computer, PS4.
Yeah.
If you want to watch, if y'all want to come over one night and watch it on my 55-inch, no problem.
Very good.
Because there's a little Twitch app on my PS4, so we're covered. We're good there.
Party at Dave's.
Party at Dave's, absolutely. So now Dallas and Houston did play. Dallas got swept by Houston, 0-4.
Oh, no.
And so far, Dallas has only won 2 games in 4 matches, meaning they got swept the other 2 matches.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Dallas is not off to a very good start, I have to admit. However, we did end up getting an exclusive statement from the owner of the Dallas Fuel. He reached out to me. They're going to have a watch party for their matches going forward, and he wanted me to help spread the word, and I was more than happy to do that. But I also asked him, it's like, man, y'all are off to a rough start, considering there was a lot of tough talk coming out of Dallas, especially toward that other city down the road, Houston.
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 The Houston Outlaws.
And so I asked him about it, and he said, quote, "It's a long season, and we're only 2 out of 20 weeks in. The players and coaches are going to continue to train tirelessly and keep improving. We will be burning blue in the W column very soon." Ooh. So strong words coming out of the Dallas camp. I imagine they're frustrated as well. And this is the equivalent of the Dallas Cowboys like dropping their first 2 games, or the Spurs dropping their first 5 or 6 in a row.
By the way, the Cowboys aren't in the Super. Never mind.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, no. We're not doing that. Right. No Cowboys talk. My dad will throw something at the screen or something.
Yeah, okay.
We don't do that. Alrighty. Dallas will play San Francisco. Actually, they did play last night. Boston played earlier this afternoon. Houston will play Florida on Thursday, and then they'll play the LA Gladiators, or LAG, Saturday night. So all the games will start on during the week, but then they'll push through to the weekend. If you want to check that out on Twitch.
And just Google Twitch Overwatch.
There it is, and you're taken right there. Now, Facebook has officially thrown their hat into the esports ring as well. They purchased the broadcast rights to ESL's top-tier Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, and Defense of the Ancients 2 competitions. That's the Pro League and ESL 1 majors.
Wow.
I know that's a lot of geek-ease I just threw at you. Let me break it down a little bit. Counter-Strike Global Offensive is the #1 first-person shooter game out there. PlayerUnknown Battleground is coming up fast, but right now it's all about CSGO. And Dota 2, you might have heard us talk about this at the end of last year. It has the biggest prize pool in all of esports ever. Now, what does that mean? Are we talking like, $5,000, $10,000? The winning team at the World Tournament last year, those 5 guys walked away with $10.8 million. That was first place. That was not the total prize pool. That was just first place at the Dota 2 tournament. $10.8 million. That right there, their prize pool was bigger than the Kentucky Derby, the Masters, the French Open, the Australian Open combined.
I'm in the wrong line of work.
I'm telling you. You know when our parents told us to put down the controllers and go outside and play?
Video games will never amount to anything. Go get a real job.
Thanks a lot, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, now those 5 guys are all millionaires. After taxes. After taxes.
Okay.
So, so Facebook is getting big into esports now. And the Dota 2, by the way, speaking of which, will start up January 20. Actually, it's already underway. It'll be over on the 28th.
Yeah.
That'll be the first tournament done there. Counter-Strike Global Offensive Pro League will start on February 13th. You better start learning your PlayerUnknown Battleground. This game is getting crazy popularity crazy fast. We thought Overwatch was getting really popular really quickly. No. PlayerUnknown Battleground is the hottest game out there by far. Not even close. And now it's into esports as well. Intel and ESL are arranging an invitational in Poland that will take place February 24th and 25th. They will invite the 16 teams to battle it out for a chance at 50 grand. 1,000 teams have signed up, and qualifiers start this weekend. They will only take the top 16.
50 grand?
50 grand.
That's more than my car.
50K. That's more than like 3 cars. It's more than like 8 cars, depending on where you go shopping.
Remember, the minimum salary for the Overwatch League is $50,000.
We just got word from one of our listeners in the chat. 105,000 people are watching the end of the London Spitfire versus Boston Uprising Overwatch League game right now. 105,000 people are watching that.
After that's done, if y'all 105,000 want to go over to facebook.com/GYGO radio and check us out.
Hey, that'd be fun too.
Yeah,
that would
be
work.
awesome.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to have 105,000 people watching us. That'd be great. Oh, goodness. The Call of Duty CWL Pro League Stage 1 began. That already actually began on January 23rd. That includes the top 10 North American teams, top 5 teams from Europe, and the top team from Asia Pacific. Total prize fund for that is $700,000.
Go ahead, Pete. Say it.
Wow, that's more than my car.
But not by much, right?
Not my.
Not
quite
by-
a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I
So-
drive a Toyota.
By about 700 times?
Yeah, I'm going to drive
Give
a
or-
little
give or take plus or
Toyota
minus.
RAV4.
Now, getting back to Dallas and the Overwatch League, I know they've had it rough to start, and they prided themselves on being very flexible. They said that a lot of their players could play multiple roles, and I wonder if that's backfiring on them a little bit. That maybe because they don't have a lot of dedicated players into certain roles, maybe it's a little too flexible.
Wasn't it one of their players that got suspended?
It was, actually.
How do you get suspended for that?
Well,
He made some remarks that weren't so nice.
Yeah, I thought he was that. They were like giving him shots or
no.
No,
He
no.
he said some things that he shouldn't have. He was a bad boy, so he got suspended. But they were able to fill in the gap really easily. But it'd be like all of your wide receivers for the Cowboys can also be running backs and tight ends and offensive linemen.
You ever heard the phrase "jack of all trades, master of none"?
Exactly, and I wonder if that's biting them just a little bit. Houston's hanging tough in there, so that's good news for them as well.
By the way, also a good Bruce Campbell series, "Jack of all trades."
And Master. Okay, yeah, okay. I wonder if the sequel would be called Master of None.
Could be.
That would work out pretty well. All right, so with that being said, we're going to move on here. We have some DC news to talk about here, shall we? Alrighty. So the DCEU has not gotten a lot of love from me, mostly because they've given me very little in which to love. Let's face it, the only really good movie they came out with is Wonder Woman. Justice League, Man of Steel, Batman versus Suicide. And then they go in this new direction. They hire a new chief, and the first move that comes out of the DCEU and Warner Brothers is to say that the Batman movie they're going to make will not be a part of the DCEU canon.
Is that certified? I mean, is that confirmed?
That's official.
So what I'm hearing is that the only movie that you got from DCEU that was any good was
Wonder Woman!
That was it. That's the only really good one so far. Now we get word that the originally impressive slate of 21 movies they wanted to make to keep up with Marvel has now been cut down to 6.
You know, I was telling Minion here earlier, it's like I'd rather have 6 good quality movies than 21 mediocre movies.
Well, the way I kind of look at it is, okay, stop trying to copy Marvel. Do your own thing.
Well, they tried doing their own thing, and that became Justice League,
Well,
and it laid an egg.
Look who was in charge. Let's get him out of. He's long gone and out of the picture.
Let's get away from the Snyderverse.
He his name who we shall not speak of. But at the same time, bring in, stop copying Frank Miller. There's tons of DC, because I always thought that DC always had the better writers.
I don't mind a tighter focus, but I also don't like the lack of ambition and aggressiveness and saying, you know what, we are going to take Marvel on. Marvel's going to put out 3 movies a year for like the next decade. All right, fine. No problem. We're Warner Brothers. We can do that also.
Now, I will say their live action,
Yeah.
but the animated is really good.
They are killing it in the animated and TV department. I
Yes.
agree. But, it's kind of like saying, hey, when we play, the Milwaukee Bucks, boy, Yeah, we got them. We just can't beat anybody else.
Well, the funny thing is that the way I look at it is, okay, of course there's your main six, your main characters there. I mean, Aquaman, everyone. But at the same time, it's like there's also opportunities to go even darker. If you go with like the Bernie Wrightson version of Swamp Thing.
But do we really want dark, though?
But we don't
Because-
We could do that, but at the same time, we could also have...
We need to get away from Vertigo. We need to get away from Frank Miller. We need to...
Exactly.
We need to do... See, I think what Marvel... And I think where Marvel succeeded was they took their B and C list and made them A list.
Right.
I think where Marvel succeeded is that they gave us basic, fun adventures.
Well, yeah.
There's really not a lot of complexity to Ant-Man, but it made $600 million because it's a basic, fun adventure movie.
Well, but also when the MCU started, their A list was tied up in licenses with other companies, so they
That's
had
true.
to go to the C, except for Hulk. Hulk is kind of an A lister.
Yeah, that's true.
But they had to go to Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, who were not the most well known in the Marvel universe.
Now, here are the 6 movies that they're coming out with, and
Right.
here again is where I have a problem with what the DCEU is doing. The 6 movies are Aquaman.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right.
Shazam.
All right.
Okay. Wonder Woman 2.
That's going to be a...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Flashpoint,
All
Yeah.
right.
which already we're not thrilled about. The Batman, which will be outside of the DCEU, and Suicide Squad 2.
Where the heck is Green Lantern?
Where's Cyborg?
You know, where's a good version of the Teen Titans?
Where's, I don't know, how about a Lois Lane movie?
Well, that's what somebody
What's
just
that?
mentioned
Oh,
over
did
here,
they?
but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Brian Donahoe mentioned
Wow,
that.
okay, we're thinking alike.
Oh, I didn't
I mean,
know.
you know, how about a Harley Quinn standalone?
Or
How about a
other-
Joker standalone?
Or other characters like, say, the Phantom Stranger.
How about a movie from the Joker's point of view?
There's other characters besides the main Batman villains. There's Batman villains that we have never even seen yet.
Right, so I don't mind them tightening the focus, but they're tightening the focus and including a Batman movie that's outside of canon, Suicide Squad 2, and a Flashpoint movie that they're going to make into a comedy.
So I saw this and I got in contact with Margot Robbie.
Oh, good. I'm very glad that she was
So-
able
What's
to
she have
take
to
some
say?
time to
So
talk to us.
away from her I, Tanya media junket.
Wow,
to-
has that taken off? Woo.
My goodness. And
All
so
right.
she had
What did
this
she
to
have to
say
say?
about it.
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So, once again, you know, I have to. I don't want. I really want the DCEU to do well, but man, they are stepping in it over and over and over again.
True.
You know, I keep wanting to say, you know, they take 1 step forward and 2 steps back, but they're not even taking a step forward yet. So far, with the new boss in charge, it's nowhere. They're going to turn Flashpoint into a comedy. The Batman is outside of canon, and instead of a Cyborg or Green Lantern movie, Cyborg, by the way, who was in Justice League, is not getting his own movie now. They're going to give us Suicide Squad 2?
Well, maybe they can bring in other characters to Suicide Squad. Maybe they can bring in a Poison Ivy, a good Poison Ivy.
Maybe, but
You know, I look at this and I've just got one thing to say. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
that's this area. But
Bring in Green Lantern. He's underrated. Come on.
thank God for DC TV.
Oh, yes.
Because that is their saving grace right now. And that includes Black Lightning that came out on the CW.
Great series. I'm loving it.
It joins The Flash with 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
100% rating. Collider called it complex, intimate, and says that it sets a new bar.
But he's not part of the Arrowverse, is he?
No, he's not.
Oh, really?
This is outside the Arrowverse.
Wow. Well, this really had me surprised.
Now on Thursday, the head of the CW DC thing said they're not going to have more than 4 superhero shows on the air at any one time.
That's good.
So, like in February, Supergirl's going to take a 9-week hiatus. Legends is going to be in that spot to finish out its season. Then Supergirl's going to come back and take it till June.
Whoa.
Okay, that works. I don't mind that at all.
But
You know,
I'm liking
that
Black
makes sense.
Lightning. I mean, because I didn't, aside from Super Friends, I didn't know that much about him. Now I'm like,
No, that's
now
Black
I'm
Vulcan.
glued. Oh.
Yeah, Black Vulcan. There you go. Now,
Darn it. No wonder I didn't know too much about him.
Now, most of the reviews that I've read, and I've read a fair few, they do acknowledge the racial themes are heavy and upfront.
You think?
All right, the character, our hero, Black Lightning himself, gets racially profiled in the first episode.
Yep.
And, okay, I get it. We all get it. But they say that it gets less of that as it moves along. So
I'm starting to get that because I saw the second episode this week. And it's not so much dark, but at the same time, it is edgy.
It is.
Yeah.
That's certainly true. And people are loving it so far. They really are. Kind of reminds me of Supergirl when it started out. It was pretty heavy-handed in the whole, how can women get ahead in a man's world, equal pay for equal work, yada, yada, yada. But then that really toned down as you got further into the first season. So thank God for DC TV, because otherwise, I don't know.
And animation.
And animation. Otherwise, I don't know where they'd be. The movies are just, oh, man. So we'll be right back here. We got a break for the bottom half of the hour news, but we'll be right back on 9:30 a.m. The Answer and 930amtheanswer.com. All righty. Welcome back from the bottom of the hour news break. This is Get Your Geek On 9:30 a.m. The Answer Talk Radio. Nominated for 2 Best of the City Awards from San Antonio Magazine. Nominated for Best Podcast, because all of our shows get archived to our podcast. You can find that on iTunes. You can find it on, Stitcher, and you can find it also at soundcloud.com. Just look for Get Your Geek On with Dave Gramillion. And I was nominated for Best Radio Personality in the 7th largest city in the country. I am Dave Gramillion, and if you missed the first half of our show, we had a lot of fun. That was just a great first half of the show. It went by real quick. It really did.
Fastest hour on radio.
The Overwatch League started off with a big bang. We talked about that. We talked about a wide variety of esports, because that is coming back in a very big way, including the Call of Duty Pro League Stage 1 having a $700,000 prize pool. Oh, man. We also laid into the DCEU as well, because they cut their slate of movies from 21 down to 6, and that does not include Green Lantern or Cyborg. Yikes. But thank God they have the animated series that they're working on, and also DC TV, because Black Lightning is just killing it out there. Not literally, well, I guess literally as well. Because he takes out the bad guys, so that's always good news. So with that being said, let's move on. And there's an awful lot of Oscar news, Oscar buzz, and Oscar topics. Which movies got snubbed by the snobs? Which ones are bringing home the awards? We're talking Oscars. Yay, Oscar time! All right. So
Let's get on the red carpet.
We've had the Golden Globes, we had the Screen Actors Guild, but everybody is talking Oscars because the nomination list came out. And once again, John Williams has been nominated for Best Original Score for Motion Picture, his 51st nomination.
Very good, sir.
Wow.
He's won 5 already.
Is it only 5?
5. I actually looked it up.
Out of
5.
51?
Yeah, 5.
Wow, that's only a 10% success rate.
But at the same time,
What happened the rest of the time?
I'm not sure. He doesn't return.
He got
my
Meryl
call.
Streeped.
Oh.
He doesn't return my calls.
Or Susan
Oh,
Lucci,
that-
depending on your preference.
Which way you want to go there. So John Williams, congratulations. 51 nominations. And remember, they only do these once a year.
Right.
Yep.
So that's an awful lot of nominations for a very long time. I believe he's only second to Walt Disney in the number of total nominations.
Yeah,
that
but
he's
look
up
at
for.
all the themes he's come up with.
Just iconic themes.
Yeah, you just pick a theme. Come on, E.T., Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
And it's all John Williams.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It really is.
He shaped my childhood.
However, not all is well in geeky land. I mean, to be honest, we don't expect us to come away with Best Picture, Best Actor. We don't expect that anyway.
Bite your tongue.
But the DCEU was shut out. They had 2 movies that came out, and neither one of them received a single nomination. And those movies would be Justice League, which, okay, yeah, we're kind of expecting that, and Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman.
Now that's the theme we need.
No visual effects, no cinematography,
Nope.
no sound, no
Nope.
sound editing, no Best Director nomination for
Not even-
Patty Jenkins.
Not even a best actress.
Not Best Actress for Gal Gadot, not Chris Pine for getting Best Supporting Actor, nothing.
Well, you kind of come to expect this from the Academy.
But
From
I
the
was
snobs.
Well,
Snubbed by the snobs.
Harlan Ellison did a great commentary on this on the Sci-Fi Buzz many years ago, where he said that as much as the Academy may not like these things, the geeky movies, even though they're the biggest, money makers that are out there. I mean, look at all the other movies that were out there that got snubbed over the years. King Kong,
yeah.
Star Wars, to
Yep.
Annie Hall. Even though a lot of these movies are great, but at the same time, you want to see them get a major award in the major categories.
I like to call this season the time when people say all over social media, "I've never heard of that movie." Because isn't that always the way it is? The movies that win Best Picture, Best Actor are typically the ones you've never heard of.
Well, there was one year the Academy did nominate, was it District
9?
District 9.
Well, and Star Wars was up for Best Picture.
Yeah.
So back in 77. But a lot of these movies, a lot of people have never heard of. They're not widely released. Like The Last Jedi will be out in 4,400 theaters. 3 Billboards, which is up for just everything under the sun, I think was out in only 600 theaters. So they're just not very widespread, which is why a lot of people say that they've never heard of them. Now, it's not related only to the DCEU. Spider-Man Homecoming and a Thor Ragnarok struck out as well.
Yeah.
Not a single nomination for those movies
Considering how great they were in the visual area.
And speaking of visual area, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 did get 1 nomination for Best Visual Effects.
There you go.
And that's it. That's it for Marvel, too.
Right.
So out of DC and Marvel, they brought home 1 nomination out of 5 films.
Right.
Ugh. Now, The Last Jedi did get 4 nominations. Hollywood does love them some Star Wars.
Right.
They really do. They got sound mixing, Best Original Score, and Visual Effects. Again, not the A-list Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, but still, 4 nominations is nothing to sneeze at.
I still would have loved, even though I don't think it would have happened, I would have loved to see Mark Hamill get a nod for Best Actor.
Well, that's true. I mean,
This is the last time we are going to get to see Luke. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Well, Force Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
We will never see him drink milk again.
Not in that way.
No.
Oh,
sadly,
Lord.
no. Blade Runner 2049 also walked away with 3 nominations, all for visual. So visual effects is the category to watch if you're a geek and you watch the Oscars. Personally, I don't watch any award shows. I can't stand them. I really don't like the big Hollywood award shows. But if you are going to watch, visual effects is your category. Blade Runner, Guardians 2, Kong, Skull Island, War for Planet of the Apes, and The Last Jedi are the nominees.
Yeah, because Kong is actually on HBO this month, and it was great. I just wish I could have seen it at the theater.
Speaking of nominations and awards, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Remember, I hate to say, do you remember? But that's because it actually ended 15 years ago this year. Well, hold on. No. Before we get to that, I want to tell you what Peter Jackson is up to. Peter Jackson, the award-winning, at the turn of the century, the god of movie making, the guy was everywhere. I mean, he was incredible. He got to do his Kong remake with Jack Black. That didn't go so well. But
wasn't bad.
But Lord of the Rings trilogy, I mean, he was hailed as a visionary. What he did changed movies.
That's very true.
It really, really, truly did. And then he did, what was that one movie? The Lovely Bones, that murder mystery. That didn't go so well for him either. But he did Lord of the Rings.
It made 3-hour movies okay.
Yes. in fact, I mean, that's the whole reason.
That's the standard cut.
That's why we have the 49-hour extended cut that people actually bought and will sit through.
Part 1.
That's the first half of Fellowship right there. He's actually now working on a new documentary movie. This is according to The Guardian. He's taking footage from World War I and he's turning it into a movie. Actual recorded footage at the time. He's splicing it all together and he's making it into a movie. Now, this is to honor the 100th anniversary of the end to the war to end all wars. November 11th, 1918 was Armistice Day, so November 11th, 2018, this year, will be 100 years since the First World War ended.
God almighty.
Now, he said, quote, "We can make this grainy, flickery, sped-up footage look like it was shot in the last week or two." Think about that. This is 100-year-old film.
Mm-hmm.
He said, quote, "It looks like it was shot with high-definition cameras. It is so sharp and clear now." What a world we are living in. What a time to be alive that we can do this.
Right.
Yet my DVD player can't play if I've got like one thumbprint on the back of the disc.
Right.
I don't know what that's all about, but...
100 years. That's amazing.
The Imperial War Museum first approached Peter Jackson 2 years ago about doing something with the footage. He has gone through and watched or listened to 600 hours of audio interviews with veterans recorded from the 1960s to the 1990s. 600 hours.
That's amazing. Consider there are no more World War I veterans left.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, it's 100 years, and he can do this. He has the technology. He has the capability. That's just incredible. The film world premiere at the BFI London Film Festival, where it will be shown in 3D. They're going to take footage from literally 100 years ago and put it in high def and 3D.
Wow.
Then it'll be shown on the BBC One, sent to all schools for the 2018 autumn term. I gotta see this.
With knowing my students, I hope I can keep their attention long enough.
Well, yeah, that's true also.
Yeah.
Hope the kids are, actually appreciate that. So, oh, goodness.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Wow.
All right, so now we can go ahead, and now we've gotten that Peter Jackson out of the way. Now let's go. Let's talk Lord of the Rings. Howard Shore did the music for this.
I had this incredible urge to start walking someplace.
I know, right? Just go barefoot and start walking somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe
Hobbit
between
style.
two towers?
Maybe, maybe we could form some type of a fellowship.
And then go to Taquadana for second breakfast.
It's precious to me. So speaking of the Oscars,
Yeah, but then we have to return to Burger King.
Yeah, true.
the Lord of the Rings trilogy, get this, it is the most awarded film series in cinematic history. And it's not even close.
Wow.
It's not even close. It was nominated. If you include BAFTA, Golden Globe, Screen Actors Guild, Oscars, Saturn Film, blah, 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 all the film awards that are out there, it got 800 nominations.
What?
800 nominations and won 475.
Wow. Yeah, I'll take it.
That's 3 films. This is not Star Trek that has 13 movies right now. This is not Star Wars that has 8, 9 if you include the Clone Wars special, which I certainly don't. But this is 3 films, 800 nominations, and won 475. The film, Return of the King, the trilogy rather, the films won 17 Oscars out of 30 nominations.
Wow.
And Return of the King tied with Titanic and Ben-Hur for most Oscar wins with 11.
Wow. That's all we can say.
So I remember these movies coming out. The first one came out in 2001, and the hype was huge.
Oh, my God, yeah.
The hype was so massive. And right from the beginning, good movies set the tone from the start. And the first part of Fellowship of the Ring, okay, it's Cate Blanchett, and she's talking about how she can feel it's in the water. I get that. Right. But then you go to the big battle scene.
Oh, yeah.
And you are instantly blown away by the scale. What they did with the computer models was just fascinating to watch. And all you could do is just sit there and just, kind of pull your own Keanu Reeves and just say, whoa.
Yeah, but the only funny thing is Sean Bean is the only one that really died.
Well, yeah. Of course, it's Sean Bean, so that makes all sorts of sense. And then you go from that huge battle scene to the Shire.
Yeah.
And the Shire is so peaceful and so green, so serene. It really is very nice and pleasant. And I don't know what it is, but every time I watch that, I get this warm, fuzzy feeling. I really do. And, the fireworks that go off, and Gandalf and Bilbo are smoking their pipes, and you just get this very peaceful feeling. It's very nice.
And then Merry and Pippin do something stupid.
Yeah, and Merry and Pippin do something stupid. And then the Nazgul show up, and all of a sudden
all hell breaks
the
loose.
The plot takes off and that sort of thing. So let's talk about why this trilogy worked so well.
Oh.
In my mind, first of all, the first thing they did right was filming all 3 at the same time.
Yes.
It took them, 2 years?
An
Something like that.
18-month
18
shoot.
months, something like that?
18-month shoot.
A year and a half.
And they shot all of them at the same time, which was a brilliant move.
Yes.
Risky. Really risky.
But I also think that, when they did things back to back, I think that set the tone for everything that was to come later.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. So That was the first thing they did right. The second thing they did was the scale, but it was making you feel good and having that broad epic war at the same time.
Right.
The pacing was done so well. Of course, the comedy's good. Gandalf hits his head on the because he's so big in the little Hobbit house and that sort of thing.
Merry and Pippin, you know.
Merry and Pippin add that little bit of fun.
But
to
everybody had their own arc.
That's right. That's right. And unlike the Hobbit series, where you couldn't tell the dwarves apart,
Everybody knew.
Everybody knows Merry and Pippin.
But also what I liked about it was when it comes to the battles, anything can happen. Because then, especially in the last one, they were like, "Wow, here come the Arks! Here come the Riders of Rohan! Yay!" And then like, here come the Oliphants. I'm like, "Oh crap!"
And they have Gron, the big battering ram, Gron.
Right.
And then, okay, well, Gandalf's got this. Oh wait, no, here comes the Nazgul, the king of the Nazgul,
and he gets taken out by what's her name?
Eowyn.
Eowyn, yeah.
I am no man.
It's like, oh yeah.
Whap.
Because at the same time, it's like anything can happen. At the same time, I still love Gimli and
Legolas.
Legolas. So that's only one.
Now that leads me actually to my first misstep. Legolas is so overpowered, it's not even funny.
That's very true.
I mean, come on. It's like playing a Tecmo Bowl with Bo Jackson. I mean, you're going to win. It's just a given. That's just how it's going to be. So Legolas was just way overpowered. I mean, him, surfing down the stairs in the two towers, shooting the arrows. Come on. Actually, all the heroes are kind of overpowered.
Yeah.
I mean, Gimli literally jumps into a mess of orcs and he's fine.
Except for Sean Bean.
Except for Sean Bean. Yeah,
he's
that's
the
true.
only who's allowed to die.
Except for Sean Bean. But that's okay. So what else really worked well? I mean, the casting was
fantastic.
Spot on.
Yeah.
It was really good.
It really transported you into this whole nother realm.
The sets were fantastic.
A funny story I have about this, because when I went to go check out this last movie, it's like, oh, hey, great, so, the hobbits finally make it back to Rivendell. Oh, I start to put my jacket on. No, not yet.
Yep, not yet.
I was like, okay, everybody's back at the Shire. No, not yet. Oh, yep, somebody gets married. Put my jacket on. Not yet.
You know what the real game changer was, and I remember this talk from back in the Two Towers. The real game changer to this was not just the battles and whatnot. It was Gollum.
Yes.
As far as I know, Andy Serkis is the only actor to be nominated. Or no, I'm sorry. They wanted him to be nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and he wasn't even on screen.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a lot of buzz and push to get him a nomination because he nailed Gollum so well.
And it just, from the technical aspect point, you were convinced that, oh yeah, he's CGI.
No, I mean you had to convince yourself about that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, he is. Oh yeah,
because he was there.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredible, and him arguing with himself down there at the water.
It's totally bipolar.
It was fantastic. It was truly fantastic. So that worked really well. What else did not work in that film? They did deviate ever so slightly.
Yeah, they had to.
The problem is when you do one book per movie or one movie per book, you're going to have to take stuff out.
That's true.
What he did with The Hobbit is that he took one book and made it 3 movies.
And that was a mistake.
Well, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that trilogy.
And I'm sorry for that.
It was pretty good.
It definitely had a lot more missteps than The Lord of the Rings did. That's for sure. What I miss the most, what I wish they had included, was when Frodo gets captured and he loses the ring.
Yes.
Samwise in the book picks it up and decides to go on himself to try to destroy it. He abandons Frodo and says, well, there's no way it's a tower full of orcs. I can't get in there, but I've got the ring now. I might as well try to destroy it. And it tries to corrupt him, and that's when he realizes he can't do it. And he has to go back and get Frodo. And that part didn't make the movie. I wish it had. Because what they did instead was they did that whole scene where Gollum tries to frame Samwise for eating bread, and so Frodo sends him away, and I'm like, no, what?
No.
Fun, interesting thing is I had a friend of mine that I knew at, anyways, make a long story short, she was part of the official fan club, and her name is actually in the list.
No kidding.
In the end credits.
Very cool.
And
Very nice.
And it's only in the extended cut, though. It's like, you're in the movie, technically, but yeah.
Also, I thought the ending, first of all, the ending to Return of the King was incorrect.
Right.
They completely missed Saruman going back and taking over.
Right.
But there were like 18 endings to that movie.
I kept putting my jacket on for each time.
Well, they had a movie for the ending of
yeah,
the movie.
there you go. But 15 years ago, I remember sitting in the theater and remember Sam and Frodo are on that rock. The lava's all around them.
Yeah, that's when I was like putting my jacket on, waiting for no, not yet, Peter. Put your jacket on.
And Frodo says, "I'm so glad you're here with me at the end of all things." And it fades to black. And I actually yelled out in the theater, "No, you didn't."
Yeah.
And then it comes back up, and I'm like, "Okay, thank God." Like, there's no fade to black.
Yeah.
No, you can't end it there. Are you kidding? You can't end it there.
But the thing is, it was 3 hours into the movie at that point.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I was ready once the credits were like rolling. Like, can I put my jacket on now? Is this movie finally over?
Is it really over? Because then they had the ending at Minas Tirith, where they all you bow to no one, and they all bow to them. I'm like, oh, okay, now. Oh, it's not over yet.
Well, let's face it. If you went to a midnight showing of that movie, you had to call into work the next day.
Thank God they didn't do an end credit scene.
Or 5, like Marvel does.
So then they see Bilbo off at the Grey Havens, and you're like, okay, now it's over. Oh God, what Sam? Wait, Sam and Rosie. Okay,
All right,
is it over now? Is it over now?
At that point, I just figured I'm just gonna wait here. What the heck?
Yeah,
the bathroom can wait.
I'm not being fooled anymore. I'm just going to sit here and wait. And then it fades to black, and then it's finally over. But other than that, Legolas being overpowered, and there were some silly moments in there as well.
Dwarf tossing.
Yeah, not the beard. They made Gimli really silly, which kind of brought me out of the moment a little bit. But it's still the trilogy of trilogies.
I think when the Academy came out with their list of them, I was surprised and just really shocked that it swept.
Oh yeah,
and I think that the Academy just had to acknowledge the fact that they just put so much time and effort into literally an 18-month shoot.
Now, one of the things that, all right, I may get crucified for this, but if you ask me what's the better trilogy, the Star Wars original trilogy or Lord of the Rings, I'm going to go Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I can see why.
And if it, thank you very much. If it hadn't been for Return of the Jedi being such a weak link in that trilogy, maybe it would have been a lot closer. But I mean, I would rather sit down and watch Lord of the Rings for the 9 hours than the 6 hours of Star Wars.
Well, the Lord of the Rings button-omathon.
Your wife's has spring break coming up. Y'all can watch it then.
We certainly can. That's very true. I mean, I'm sorry if I get crucified for this. I really do. But Return of the Jedi for me is Empire Strikes Back Part 2 up until Yoda dies. And then finally it becomes its own movie. And I that plus the teddy bears taking over, that
Yub.
Yeah, that didn't do it for me.
Yep.
Yep. Alrighty.
Oh, I was gonna keep going.
Down in Fraggle Rock.
But Lord of the Rings really didn't have that weak of a moment where like half a movie was, really, we're doing this? Really? Anytime now we can get this going. So, Lord of the Rings is the superior trilogy. Hate to say it.
It's true.
It's certainly a lot better than the prequels.
That's very true.
We still got one more movie with the new series.
Yeah. Boy, they better knock a home run out of that one. Because The Force Awakens is pretty good. Last Jedi, pretty divisive.
Yeah.
Pretty polarizing.
Yeah.
They better wrap this up nicely.
Okay.
Come on, JJ, pressure's on, man.
Nice little bow.
Yep. Or lead into Rian Johnson's trilogy.
Oh yeah. Or how would this compare to some of the Marvel stuff? Where do you think that would? Or Marvel's thing is?
Well, Marvel has a lot of trilogies. That's the thing. I guess the only real trilogy you could compare Lord of the Rings to would be the Avengers trilogy.
Yeah.
Which we haven't really finished yet. We still have Infinity War coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So Age of Ultron was definitely the weaker movie compared to the first Avengers.
Right.
But even the first Avengers had problems.
Each franchise as part of the MCU is not set up to be a trilogy or its own deal. You have the Star Trek trilogy of 2, 3, and 4.
Which that's a solid trilogy.
That is a solid trilogy.
Now it gets pretty goofy in 4. It gets really goofy
for nuclear
in
whistles.
4.
I think he did a little too much LDS.
I was waiting for that one. I mean, come on. Kirk sits down to dinner and he orders 2 pizzas. 2 full pizzas? How hungry is that girl? Come on now.
Well, that was for just Kirk alone, you know.
Oh, yeah, that must have been it.
Well, no, she orders 2 pizzas,
What?
and then he orders 2 more.
I thought she ordered 1 and then he said I'll have the same.
You're arguing with the trekker here. Come on.
No, I'm the trekker.
Rock, paper, scissors, Spock between the two of you.
Will the real Slim Shady trekker please stand up?
Anyway, you are standing up.
Hey-oh. Yeah, so 2, 3, and 4 for Star Trek is a solid trilogy as well, but I'd still say Lord of the Rings is the better trilogy. I think it could be the best trilogy on film, period. If Godfather 3 hadn't been such a train wreck, maybe, but...
Well, there's the Indiana Jones trilogy.
That's not a true trilogy, though.
Yeah, that's a quad.
Well, not only that, each story is
Well,
standalone.
we don't count Crystal Skulls.
Well, that's true.
Really, it's Raiders, Crusade, Crystal Skull. If you're going to talk a trilogy,
Yeah,
because those follow the 3 there. So that's all the time we have. Holy
That's it?
cow!
Wow.
This is the fastest hour on radio. What are you kidding me here? That will wrap it up here. If you do want to tweet at us, you can find us at GYGO_radio. You can shoot me an email at davethehost@getyourgeekon.org. For Goose, for Minion, and for myself, I want to thank our sponsors, Laser Legend and The Mailing Spot here in San Antonio. I want to thank you for listening. Be excellent to each other, and make sure to get your geek on every single day. Good night, everybody.